What was the first experience for you, someone noticing you in public?
Okay, so one time we had gone on vacation to Big Bear. It's like the mountains in California. And it was still kind of fresh. So like we went to the store to get some groceries or whatever, and then some people are like, hey, you're the busing guy. I love your videos. And then like my family was right there, and I was like, okay, let's take a picture. And I was like, in front of the fam and everything. Yeah, it was cool, man.
Yeah.
But that wasn't like the first time, but I had done like a giving back to the community type video, and it tripped me out because when I went to the McDonald's, I bought like $500 worth of a bunch of food and stuff. But the managers had recognized me, and they were like, they wanted to help out and everything. So that was a good feeling too.
That's awesome. It was for a good cause, of course.
Yeah. Oh, and plus when I was at the halfway house, the rehab halfway house, people would watch my videos not knowing I was there, and they would see me and be like, "Hey, you're here! I just seen your video."
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool, man. Because I was in there for like 2 years because I went to the sober living afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't in public a lot for a while, but whenever I would go, I would get my little recognitions and stuff.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and now it's like it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You was just saying, you live in California, in Southern California, and you were just in Westchester Airport in New York.
Yeah,
and someone
crazy.
recognized you. That's so funny.
It's crazy when I think about it because I'm like, man, do I have that many followers to be recognized as much as I do?
You have a lot of followers, dude. Yeah, you're in the millions.
But I would think that like a lot of it would be from different countries. I do have a lot like from Australia, Philippines, and stuff. Yeah. But majority U.S.
But you know what's crazy? You said you started your journey in 2021. Did you ever think it would be a life beyond your wildest dreams?
No. Like, okay, so when I had first started, they were like making fun of me, like, you doing TikToks, man? You doing TikToks?
Yeah. Same thing with me. Yep.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I'm gonna do it. And I was like, and I'm not gonna stop posting until I get to 1 million, at least until I get to 1 million followers. So that was like, I was like on it. I was like, in my head, I was like, I'm gonna be consistent. Video gets 0 views. I don't care. I'm just gonna keep boom, 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 boom. And it paid off, man.
Dude, consistency is so important.
I always say consistency is key.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta keep going, man. Just keep going. Because your next one, you'll get experience. It's not just posting a video. You're getting experience. You're, learning. People are learning about you. You're getting new followers. And it's just like a journey.
Ian Beck gave me a great piece of advice in the very beginning. I was posting a lot of videos, and I went through the trenches where, like, you weren't getting views, likes, nothing, and I stayed consistent. Like 3 TikToks a day, 3 YouTube shorts a day, posting on Instagram every day, stories, etc., the whole 9. And I wasn't showing and giving much information about myself and my personality, and I wasn't giving my, followers an opportunity to learn about me and get emotionally, not even emotionally, but just connected to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Ian said, him and JD DeLay?
I'm not sure.
Ian and JD, we were talking, and they're like, dude, you need to put your face on your channel more. Like, just film videos, dude. Tell stories about your life. And I started doing that. In the fall, and then things really started to blow up for me at like the end of November, beginning of December, which was really cool.
Have to. That's crazy because my friend too, he did YouTube, but he was with like YouTube with like a group of people. Mm-hmm. But he was telling me, he was like, people want to hear your story. Make sure you have your face in there. And then actually the counselor at the place I was at was like, she was telling me, she was like, when I like an artist or someone, she looks up their biography, like their background and everything. And she was like, so you need to have something out there where people can learn about you and they connect with you because they look for that, So,
yeah. And we're in a time post-COVID where people are yearning for connection. Yeah. People want it. Mm-hmm. And be part of that community and the movement and what you stand for.
Right. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. And you know what? Listen, you have your hecklers out there, trolls.
Oh, yeah. all the time.
Yeah, but it's like there are actually a lot of great people out there and a lot of supportive people as well.
I always say like 50% of the comments will probably be hate comments or hecklers or something, you know? And I'm not going to lie, like, I never pay attention to them, right? Or they make me laugh sometimes. But, like, I had gone through, like, a depression in 2023. Like, a depression, man. And, like, every one of those comments were, like, affecting me. So I wouldn't even go on social media. I went through, like, a point to where I didn't want to be seen or whatever. I don't know. It just came out of nowhere. I was like, what am I depressed about? You know, it was just weird. But I had looked up meditation techniques. I was like, I got to break out of this. And that actually helped.
Yeah.
I watched this, well, it's a book on YouTube, and it's called The Master Key System. And it tells you how to, like, they're the master key to unlock your mind and everything. And I started doing some of the exercises that they have in it. And it actually helped, man. Kind of helped me pull me out, stop having my mind racing so much and be more in the moment. You know, like that, So.
Well, when you're on a big stage like that, only few can really understand what you're going through, and I mean, the pressure, having to post constantly, the stress, people saying shit that eventually will get to you, and it's tough. It's not easy.
But I mean, once you, just try not to pay attention to those. They're always gonna be, you know.
Yeah.
So now I just kind of like skip past it, or sometimes I put like a smiley face, or whatever, but I won't really entertain it too much.
What else did you do to get out of that depression other than meditation?
I did meditation. I was exercising, and then so at the halfway house I was at, they teach you like techniques for when you get out, so you don't relapse or whatever, right? So changing your thoughts. I was like trying to I'm in control of my own thoughts, you know. I need to block out the negative into the positive. And that's kind of what the Master Key System, I mean, I don't mean to be promoting it or anything. It's not my book, but my friend sent that to me in a time of, what's crazy, he called me out of nowhere. And he was like, hey, man, you all right? I haven't seen you post too much, or you didn't seem too energetic in your last video. And I was like, I'm just going through some stuff. He was like, hey, I was going through some mental issues a while back. Check out this book. You just listen to it. It has some exercises. And then, so that really helped. And then plus I tried to like use everything that I learned from those classes too. And it really helped, man. Like it really helps, like if you take what you learned into the real world, you know, from halfway house rehab type stuff.
Dude, when you go, so I've been to so many inpatient, outpatient facilities.
Right.
Like those techniques of recovery, of stopping yourself in the moment and bringing that thought process back to reality.
Right.
Like that awareness, you gain awareness once you go through.
You know what really learned is playing the tape out all the way.
Yes.
You know, okay, so if I'm in this situation right now, it could lead to this and then eventually lead to that, and then nothing's good is gonna come out of it.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna avoid that whole thing altogether.
Yeah.
That's one thing too. I have to tell people nowadays, I'm like, bro, that's not a good idea. Hey, but play the tape out all the way, man. What's gonna happen at the end?
Oh, dude, I was so like compulsive with my thought process and taking action immediately. Like it's okay to pause. You know, maybe list off a couple things that you're grateful for that you have in your life. You know, for you, my son, my health, you know, my girlfriend, etc. And that kind of helps it bring you back to reality and you know, realize that it's bullshit, those comments, and like you know what you're going through most of the time, and you're probably blowing it a little out of proportion at that time, which I always do. So you're from Southern California originally?
No, I'm from Houston.
Okay.
So I grew up in Houston, played football and did all the sports and everything out there, and then came here. Actually, I had caught a felony for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle out there. We were just like, we had like taken some Xanax pills, and we had left the party, and we were gonna walk back to the house or whatever, and then we ended up like opening car doors, and then one of them I had open, there was a key like well, I put down the visor because they had keys in it. So I put down the visor and there was a key that came out. So my friend was actually down the street, right? And I was like, okay, I'm going to go pick him up because I just got this car with the key. But somehow I ended up on Xanax. You know, you get that short-term memory loss. And I ended up in a whole different county. It was called Waller County. And I woke up in a ditch. And then the officer, she was cute. It was a lady. She was like, do you need an ambulance? Do you need an ambulance? I was like, no. And I tried turning the car to get away, right? But I'm halfway in a ditch. This car didn't want to start. So, yeah, I had caught a felony for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. And then my aunt was like, if we bail you out, you have to come to California. You're getting in too much trouble out there. And so I moved out here, had my probation transferred. And my probation was transferred out here, but I had to go to court one time because I had missed a payment. And I didn't go to court in Texas because I was in California. And then so they put a warrant out for me. And I had that warrant for like a long time. I would get pulled over. And they'd be like, oh, I would get pulled over in California, and they would say, oh, you have a warrant in Texas.
They're not going to extradite you.
They'd be like, we're going to take you in and see if they want you. So they would lock me up for like 24 hours and then let me go the next day. Texas don't want you.
Oh,
you know?
Wow. Okay.
So that happened probably like 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Probably like 5 times. But one time, I had just got out of jail like a month. I did like 8 months in Orange County, California. And I just got out, man. And then like a month later, I'm like, I was on like 5 Xanax, man. And my friend called me and was like, hey, I got a hotel. There's a party over here. Come through. I was like, oh, shit, I'm going to go. So I like took my girlfriend at the time's car, drove. And I even remember, I should have known. You know, we don't think about the future. We don't play the tape out.
Yeah, you weren't playing the tape through.
Yeah. So I'm like in the car driving, like nodding out, like, oh, let me turn this music on. I can't even stay up, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm having to go on the freeway. So I get on the freeway, and then so you know how you have like the freeway, and then over there's one freeway where like the carpool's this way. So it has a little divider.
Yep.
Here's the main freeway, and if you want to go, then you go like that.
Yep.
So I woke up like hitting like those poles, and then boom, crashed like from that divider. So there was a V.
Cement divider?
Yeah, so there was a V in the front. And I'm like, but the thing is, that's like the 3rd car I totaled, man, just being on Xanax alone, man. But you're like, your body's relaxed, so you don't get too much.
Yeah.
You know, you have marks, and I had bruises and stuff, but every single time I totaled the car, people are like, man, you should have been dead. You know, I don't know. It's a blessing. So I think about that now too. But yeah, I had got out, and then I was like, oh shit, what do I do? I had called my girlfriend's mom, and I was like, hey, I took her car. Nikki knew nothing about it. I accidentally wrecked it or whatever, so she wouldn't get in trouble. Highway patrol comes, and they're like, they did the breathalyzer test, and I passed it because I was on Xanax. I wasn't drunk. And then so they ended up taking me took my blood, like, bro, they took it like involuntarily. I was like strapped to a freaking like a wheelchair. And then the nurse comes out in the garage of the jail. I was like, no, y'all can't take, I refuse. And they took it or whatever. But so I did 60 days for a DUI, and I was like, they're like, oh, you have a warrant in Texas. I was like, they're not going to come get me. They don't want me. I already been through all this. They're like, no, we're going to make sure they come get you. So after the 60 days, I'm waiting for them to call my name, my number to get out. I'm like, all right, yeah. Nothing. I'm like, what? They didn't call me, so I started worrying. There was like 26 days. They had like 30 days to pick you up and 30 to release you. Like the 26th day, they were like, hey, come on, roll up your stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm getting out. When I get there, the deputy's like, he had these long shackles. He was like, we're going to put these on you. I'm like, damn. So I got extradited from California to Texas. And during that extradition, I stayed in multiple different jails, right? And it's crazy because I went to one jail that was in Texas, like on the border, like border of New Mexico and Texas. I think it was like El Paso. So they had like a group of us, right? We go into the jail, and then there's like separate cells, and then so I had to take a dump. So right, I'm like taking a dump in one of the cells, and I look, and I'm seeing like cigarette roaches, like buglers or something, you know. And I was like, what the hell? They got a lot of them over here. And then so I go out, and I'm like, hey, bro, they were seeing it too. And they're like, yeah, the cigarette. And I was like, yeah. I was like, man, let me ask him. So I go to one of the deputies. Actually, it was like the lieutenant or something, like the main one. I was like, hey, you can have cigarettes in here? She was like, y'all don't have tobacco? And I was like, no, can I have some? She was like, here. She pulled it out, and she had like cigarettes. She gave us all one, lit it for us. I was like, man, can I do my time in this jail?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a trip, because I've always heard about cigarettes being in jail, like where you could buy them off commissary, but I've never really seen it. But yeah, that time was
But
crazy.
a lieutenant giving you one, let alone, right?
Yeah,
it's wild.
It's wild, man.
How old are you at this point when you get extradited back to Texas?
I was 24.
You were 24. So up until 24.
26.
26. So up until 26, your first arrest obviously was when you took the keys out of the visor on Xanax. And then, just to back up a little bit, when you were growing up, was mom and dad around? What was like your early childhood like?
I was mostly raised by my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
My mom too, but my grandma was like the one that would take care of me, make sure I get to school, and make sure I eat and everything. My mom, she was working, so she would come home, and then my grandpa, which is my grandma's, he would do bodyguard jobs.
Mm.
And then he would go, it's called APT, Asset Protection Team. When companies would go on strike, he would get sent out. And then so he would go for like 6 months, 8 months, however long the strike would last. And then so I would just be with my grandma, my mom would be at work, and so we like had a really close bond. My dad and mom were never married, but and then so my dad lived in New Jersey. And he would always, we would call every holidays, birthdays. If I needed anything, like I could ask him for it and stuff. But he was like never around physically. So, I mean, with my grandpa was kind of, I don't know, like, I didn't start really getting in trouble until it was like 10th grade. And then I just started like pushing my limits, staying out late. I had a girlfriend that had passed. She was like my first love in 10th grade. And she had gotten in a car accident. And that was kind of like a turning point in my life. Because I was all into sports and everything, right? And then I kind of like stayed away from school for like a whole month. Yeah, I kind of took it a little bit hard, man.
So you're in 10th grade. You're dating this girl. She is your girlfriend.
I've known her since
you were kids.
Grade. Yeah, well, 5th grade, yeah.
And she gets into a car accident, passes away. Mm-hmm. Now, you're 15, 16 years old. That's a lot for anyone to handle, let alone a 15, 16-year-old. Your coping mechanism was what? You were just isolating? You were just kind of moving yourself from everything? Is this when you started to get into drugs? Drinking?
I wasn't on drugs at that time.
Yeah.
But it led to it. Mm-hmm. Like, when I was staying home, my coping mechanism was, I don't want to talk to anybody, see nobody. I was just trying to be alone and stuff. And then luckily I had a friend came over. He was a really good friend. I wouldn't want to see nobody, but he ended up jumping my fence and knocking on my window in my room. And I looked, and I was like, and I let him in, right? And he we were talking. And for some reason, I remember where we were talking about, he's like, I'm sorry this happened and everything. And I was like, yeah, it's crazy. We kind of got quiet. And then we did a little laugh, I don't know, an uncomfortable type of laugh or whatever. But for some reason, I feel like that kind of brought me back a little bit, And then so I was able to talk to him, and I was able to move on with life. Because of him coming to my window and kind of breaking me out, I ended up going to school 2 days later and everything. So
that's a good friend.
So Kim, bro, if you hear this, man, I appreciate you.
Yeah, looking out, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So after high school, when did you start doing drugs? Was it in high school or was it after high school?
It was in high school, so 10th grade, the whole thing happened. Once I started going back, and then I started like going to parties and stuff, and they had the Xanax. It was like kind of new at the time, and it was like 2 for $5. I bet $5 you get, yeah, you know.
That's a steal.
So at first they had gave it to me for free, and I was like, oh damn, I don't even remember what happened. Oh, you were doing this, that was crazy, and I was like, what? So then we would like. We would look forward to that on the weekends. I would save up money so me and my homie could have it for the weekend, some Xanax or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but honestly, man, like, everything bad came from Xanax. Like, it makes you want to steal. It's like you don't give a damn about nothing. I don't know if you ever tried it.
Yeah, man. Of course, yes.
Yeah, so it's like you forget things.
Yeah, you forget everything.
You fight, you get angry.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, man. So that kind of just took my whole life like downhill right there.
So, fast forward to being extradited.
And I was drinking a lot of lean. In Texas, it was big, so I would actually crush it up and then sprinkle it in the opiate. So like, I have like opiate. My heart's like barely beating.
Oh, you used to mix Xanax with promethazine and codeine?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
That is wild.
I would just be.
So you get extradited. Let's go back now to 26 years old. You get extradited. How much time do you spend in jail, or was it prison? Jail, right?
Yeah, in Texas it's called a state jail.
Okay.
But it's TDC still. It's Texas Department. Texas Department of something. I forgot what it's called.
Corrections?
Yeah, corrections. So when I went, they gave me the max, which was 2 years. And I was like, damn. I came back out of court because I was like, it's been a long time. This was when I was 18. So I came back from the cell into the cell, and I was like, damn, what the hell? I gotta be in here for 2 years or whatever. And then I had some time. It was like 14 months total. That I had to do. And then one of the guys was like, hey, bro, you're going to state jail. It's not prison where you get out on parole. You do your 2 years and you get out with no paperwork, nothing. You don't have to deal with nothing. And so once he told me that kind of like brought me back, and I was like, okay, that's a good thing, actually. And then so from that point on, I was like, I just have to be mentally institutionalized pretty much. I can't think about the outside too much. So I didn't even want to watch no commercials about burgers. I didn't want to see too much going on out there. I would turn my head, and I was like, this has been my life for 2 years, man. And I didn't really have nobody at the time. Like, I had a couple friends that would write me and stuff, but, you know, I would still have to find my way because $50 on commissary doesn't go too far, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So you get out. You ended up doing 14 months, you said?
Okay, so I did the 14 months.
Yeah.
And then the immigration had picked me up.
Oh my God. So immigration.
So I went from the 60 days here to the 14 months there. I was like, I'm never getting out. I'm never going to be.
And then immigration. Why were they picking you up?
Because I was born in the U.S. Naval Hospital in Okinawa, Japan.
Okay.
And I don't know, my dad wasn't naturalized till I was 3. I don't know what the whole thing is. It's a big mess.
Yeah. What did you have to do
So
with
after
them?
60 days, they were like, we need you're stateless, so we need you to check in every year. And then so I had to keep on checking in.
Do you still check in to this day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Checking in March.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So after that, do you end up going back to California?
Yeah.
And then what happens from there at this point? Are you back running with the same crew? Are you...
In a way. But, like, so when I had got out, I was, like, working out all the time in there. And I was, like, you know, so I became a security when I got out. And I was at this... I had a pretty good job. I worked my way up from security into the office and everything. Probably like 4 or 5 years or so, you know, I ended up getting a prescription from a doctor for Xanax. And that right there had opened everything up. I started taking painkillers, Vicodins and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Became addicted to that, where I was taking like 15 Norcos at a time. I would buy 100, and it would last me like 2 days. Yeah, and so I would kind of feel it in my liver or kidneys.
Yeah.
So I started taking Suboxone, but then the Suboxone really didn't do too much to me. So then they were like, "Oh, you get on Methadone, you actually feel like, but it's not hurting your body like that." So I got on the Methadone, but I was working them. I was like, "I don't feel 30 milligrams. Okay, we'll give you 60." I was like, "Let me see how far I can go." "I don't feel 60 either. I'll give you 90.
Oof.
So I was like taking that every day, plus the Xanax I was getting from the doctor. So I wasn't doing like no crime or anything, because I was like, I'm not gonna do no shit. After when I got out from the 2 years, I was like, I'm not gonna try to do no stuff to get me back locked up. But I was just hurting myself with this stuff. So I would go to work. I would take my dose in the morning of the Methadone. It would get through work, take a Xanax when I had got off, and then from that point on, I'm like, I come home. My girlfriend is like, "What the hell are you doing? You can't even talk." And I'm just like nodding out and stuff. And then I had got to a point to where I even told her, I was like, with my job and everything, it feels like I can never, the only way to withdraw from this stuff is if I got locked up or something. And then I ended up getting locked up like a month later.
What'd you get locked up for?
Oh, all right. So when the whole COVID thing was going on, people were like, the gun stores were full. I even went to a gun store and I tried to buy one, but they were like, "Oh, you have to get your record expunged." So I had a friend he was in the military. He had left his firearm here, and then so I had just grabbed it, and I was like, "I'm gonna carry this on me just in case or whatever." And it didn't have a safety on it. It was like a trigger safety. It was 380. So, man, I'm so dumb. I had like seen the people were like, "Oh, you should keep one in the chamber because you don't have time to cock it or something was to happen," right? So I have it in my pocket, and it's one in the chamber, and then I had took it out in the bathroom of it was apartment, of the bathroom, and I was like trying to like kind of looking at it in the mirror or whatever.
Yeah.
But I had my. And I was on the Xanax.
And you had a finger on the trigger.
Finger on the trigger.
Never put the finger
on the trigger. And you know what I did? Before that, I had took out the original trigger assembly, and I put in like a hairpin trigger. So instead of 5 pounds, it's only 2.5 pounds. That was the worst mistake ever. And then, bow, boom. So it shoots through the mirror. Nothing or whatever. It's just 380, so it's like a pop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the shell falls, and I'm like, am I hit? And I'm like, oh, shit. So then I run out because my son was out there and my stepson. So I'm like, "You okay?" And they're just looking at me like, "Yeah."
The fuck you talking about?
Yeah. And then my mother-in-law came out. Like, I was like, "So I'm gonna replace the mirror. I'm sorry. And then so I don't know I don't know where the cops came from. But then they were like looking for me because I had left, and I was like, I took the broken pieces of the mirror. I was going to go get a new one and everything. And when I was parked at a dead end one day, they came. Like, I fell asleep at the dead end. And then they were like, I woke up to, "Hey, come out with your hands up." And I was like, what the fuck? And then there was like 3 SUVs. The cops were like pointing their guns at me. And I was like, "Hey, my hands are right here." I was like, in my head, I was like, I didn't even do nothing. This got to be a mistake. I had a loaded firearm right there, felon in possession. So they ended up giving me felon in possession of firearm, and I had like 200 rounds in my trunk of ammo. So felon in possession of ammo. They gave me discharging a firearm with gross negligence and 2, what's it called? Child endangerments, because they were out there, and So, it's crazy because they were like, if you go upstate and do 16 months, we'll only give you 1 charge. But then you would have to deal with immigration. They're like, we don't know if you have to or not, but you could be up there for 2 years, up to 2 years. And I was like, damn, I don't want to do that. I do my. They're like, or you can take a year in county, but you have to plead. You have to take all 5 felonies, and I had to do it. So yeah, that's how that whole thing turned out.
So you take the 5 felonies, you do 1 year, and it is 2020 at this point, right? COVID had hit?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you go away. What do you do of that year? 2/3? You do the
half.
full, did you have to do? Oh, you did half. So you did 6 months.
It was like 5 months and like 3 weeks.
What, did they let you out because of COVID?
I got out right before Christmas too. I don't know.
They
were cutting a lot of people, but I wasn't getting those good cuts.
Yeah.
Some people were getting, come back to court or whatever type stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's no way I'll never get no love like that.
Yeah.
So I had to do almost 50% of my time, but people were doing like 10%. If they were low. But since I had like, I don't know why, I never get no love like that though.
But 50% of your time is amazing.
Yeah, it's cool, and well, that's how LA is because LA is so
really?
overcrowded. No, LA County, a lot of people do 10% of their time.
I didn't know that.
So I was like, I don't get the 10% love. Orange County, they do 66.6%.
Yeah.
So they gave me a year. I did 8 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, and LA County, they gave me the year. I did 6 months in that place.
Okay. Got it.
And then 3 years probation afterwards.
So you go in and then you do your 5-6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You get out and you are now granted an opportunity. Did they make you go to the halfway house or how did that work?
Well, it's like I had to take a year of parenting classes, and I didn't have nowhere to go because they put like a protective order on my house, so I had to do my classes and everything to get earn my way back or whatever.
Of course.
So I was like, where am I gonna go? And then they were like, well, you can go to this halfway house, like a rehab. You'll learn some stuff. They'll give you a place to stay, and you could take your classes there. And then, so I ended up doing that.
And you did it for 2 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
After a year, I could have left.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was like a lot of blessings were happening. Things were good. I was enjoying the people around me, and I was still building up my credit.
Yeah.
So I couldn't. I tried to go to an apartment. They were like, you need at least a 675 or something. I was like, man, I'm never going to move up. So, sober living's cheap. It was like $500 a month.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. And you, you were able to get off the Xanax.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to know how I got off of that?
Yeah, dude. I want to hear how you got off the drugs. I can relate to that a lot, and I want to hear.
So when I was on those Methadone and the Xanax, and then when I went to jail in LA County, she was like, "You take any medications?" And I was like, "Oh man, I'm withdrawing from Xanax and Methadone." She was like, "Oh, you're out of luck. We don't give Methadone here no more." I was like, I wasn't lying about it. Because a lot of people lie about it so they can get,
It's a controlled substance.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm not lying about it. I was like, really take it. You can call my doctor. And then, so they, after like 4 days, they had put me in like the mental ward, right? And I was like, I was already kind of feeling like I was losing it, man. Like, I was shaking. I couldn't eat. I didn't eat for a long time. I was having, like, out-of-body experiences. But they had me in, like, this mental section. And then the roommate, my cellie that I had, he would just constantly talk to himself. So when I'm sleeping, I would hear him talking. And, he was on the phone. He'd be like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, send it right over. All right, I'm going to send some commissary down. Just make sure you put that on my books. Hey, you know what? Can you put some money on my cellie's books, too? And I'm like, what the? So I'd wake up, and I remember, I was like, there's not even a phone in here. What the fuck? Oh, shit. But, like, I didn't go to lunch. People would have to be like, hey, man, he hasn't ate in 3 days. Come on, you got to get up. I was just trying to, like, sleep it off, man. I fell off the top bunk one time, I was so brittle. I fell off the top bunk and I had busted my eye. So I ended up staying on the ground. I put my mat on the ground and everything. And I ended up having a seizure down there. So they were like, hey, he's having a seizure, man down. They take me and they check my vitals, and they're like, he doesn't have any vitals. So they run me to the ER, and they did an ultrasound on me. And I was like, I was feeling grateful that they were trying to save me. You know, I was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, it was a lady. She was like looking, okay, breathe in, breathe out. And they took me back. But like, bro, I felt like my mouth, I felt like all my teeth were gone. I don't know. I was having this bad vision of myself. Like, I was all tore up already. You know, like it was already too late. I was like, damn, my son's going to be like, yeah, my dad passed away to addiction and 34 years old or whatever. I was like thinking of all this stuff, man. When I told Ian earlier, I was like, whenever I finally seen a clear mirror and I seen myself, I got excited because I was like, oh, I still got my teeth. I still look like me. Yeah. And then, so I decided to move cells from the one that talked to a lot to another cell. And it was like a bad mistake because I kept on forgetting a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you don't remember that? I remember he said that. I was like, I don't know, but if you want it, you can have it. Next thing you know, my commissary bag, every time I'd wake up, get smaller and smaller. And I'm like, fuck. And I'm so brittle. I can't do nothing right there. You know, I couldn't even dial. I didn't call home for like 2 weeks because I couldn't dial the freaking number. Like, my mind was mumbled, jumbled. I couldn't fill out my commissary seat.
Couldn't write.
Bro, I had the one that talked a lot. Yeah. I had him fill out my commissary sheet. And I was like, yeah, make sure you get my necessities like soap, shampoo, toothbrush. He ordered all snacks. And I was like, bro, because I told him, I was like, yeah, you could have, some soups or whatever. Order something for yourself.
Yeah.
So I had a bag full of snacks, like $200. I came in with $200. And then when I'm falling asleep, the dude's slowly swiping me. People are coming in like, hey, man, that food, you got to watch out for your celly. He's taking shit from you. And I was like, for real? All right, man, good looking out. And then some people would come in and be like, hey, can I trade you a sandwich for some chips or something, right? And then they would trade. And then to where I ended up, to where I didn't have no commissary besides the county jail sandwiches and stuff. But I didn't care because I couldn't eat. They were putting me in a wheelchair to go to different places.
So detox was rough for you, dude. You were getting robbed during detox.
Bro, it was the worst. I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah,
I was getting robbed. I couldn't defend myself.
Do you think that experience just scared you straight to the point where you're like, I'm not doing this shit anymore? Sure. And was that the first time that you really detoxed from methadone and Xanax together? You had been using all that time. And that was the detox.
That was it. It was a nightmare detox.
Okay, so you probably have PTSD from the detox.
Probably,
and
man,
you now stay off of the meds, the drugs through your time, after the detox, and then you get out and then you go into the halfway house. And what was the halfway house experience like bridging back to life? And you were just locked up and you're in society. For people that go inpatient or even go to prison or jail, get clean or sober, and then get out and go back into reality, that's overwhelming for people.
Yeah, so, I mean, I kind of saw it as like a blessing because what if I just got out and went straight back, but mentally, I didn't. I was like, hell no, I thought I was going to die. I made it out. I don't want to get back on that shit no more, right? But going over there, taking the classes and everything and hearing other people's stories and everything, I was like, I could do this. And some of the people that were like veterans there were like, hey, man, this is stuff they would tell me, this is stuff that you learn here that you can take with you. And it's not just applies to drugs. It could apply to other type of life experiences, and so now that's what I'm telling people because it actually worked for me. But you have to like really want it. You can't go there and not want to be sober because you're gonna work the system. You're gonna have people drop stuff off for you. There's no gate. You can walk out.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you're court ordered to be there, so many people they walk out and they get a warrant. And they end up going back to jail because they want to go get high or whatever. They're not ready yet.
Yeah.
You have to be like, I'm done, man. I'm done with this whole bullshit or whatever.
Yeah. Do you think that structure that it gave you once you got out of jail, the halfway house, the structure it gave you played a role in? Because in late 2021, I think you said you just started posting videos on social media, and then you started going viral, and then you're like, holy shit, I have something here.
Yeah.
And then you just blow up
That's
in
what
2022.
I said, bro. Like, that halfway house rehab was like, it was just blessings on blessings on. I had lost my job, right? And then
what were you doing job-wise before?
I was a logistics coordinator manager I would like call in trucks. I would negotiate rates to pick up our loads, drop them off, or if we need. So I was doing like that for a hay company. So I was getting unemployment from that. And then stimulus was coming. Like, I was doing all right, man. And I would see I finally worked. I was doing good in the program to where they would let me get like, what was it?
Like time with
like
your
a
son.
weekend pass, like 4 hours or 8 hour passes,
Yeah.
And my son, I was like, my son and I became really best friends. Like, he would call me, hey, look at this. We would sit there and play. I had my Nintendo Switch. They brought me my Switch, and I'd play Fortnite with him on there. And yeah, man. And I was like, this kid looks up to me, man. I can't be doing, I can't be nodding out all in public. Like, gosh, man. And, I don't know if people need to, like, I don't know what made that get to the point to where, like, you have to hit rock bottom, man, to where it's like, I can't do this no more, and then you just want to do better. And as long as you want to and your mind is right there, and you keep working towards it, you'll get it. I've seen a lot of people get up, fall, but not give up. And they get back up again, and it's, sometimes they say you have to fall 2 or 3 times to finally be able to get up and walk straight.
But go back to what you said in the very beginning: consistency.
Consistency.
Even if you look, you're gonna have fails. You're gonna have bad days. You're gonna have, days where they shut down TikTok and you can't monetize anymore. No, but like, where you just keep pushing forward, stay consistent, and putting in the work, and then eventually it pays off. Like it's it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. So tell us a little bit about. I mean, you have a ton of blessings in your life today. You didn't say it, but I just from observing, I would say it's since you got your shit together and stopped, the partying and the drugs and whatnot. But what is your life like today?
Man, I feel like more of like a family man. I'm there with the fam. At times, though, I do feel like because one of the things they teach you in there is set your boundaries. Don't let people cross your boundaries and try to push out any negative people you had in your life. So I kind of keep them at a distance. And I started feeling lonely. I think that's kind of what brought me into depression because, like, I couldn't stay at my house at the time because, of the protective order. So I had to rent a room. I would go see them and go back to my house or whatever. And I would just be there alone because, like, I even had people call me, hey, what's up? You got out? Hey, you need something to help you out? Like, trying to give me something. I'm like, bro, I ain't trying to fuck around like that no more. And so that's probably kind of what, like, led to it. But now I have, like, all my real friends, we all keep in contact, A lot of them are in Houston. I have few of them out here, out in California. But I just been mostly like focused on my family, trying to get us in better place and trying to raise my son and stuff good.
Yeah. If you had one piece of advice for the listener who is down and out right now or just failed, relapsed on drugs, what would that piece of advice be for them?
Don't give up. It's never too late. Like some people would be like, oh, I'm too old to I've already been on this for so long, there's no way I can get off. You can. You could get off, you could change your life, and you could, from that point on, you could live a better life. And just don't let your past define your future, You define your future.
Dpeezy, thank you, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Sir. Thank you.
I appreciate you, just coming on here and showing people that are currently in the act of addiction. You're showing them that it works. You are a success story. A lot of people look up to you. And where can people find you on socials?
You can check me out, Dpeezy2099, all platforms. Actually, not all platforms. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok.
Dude, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.